Hi, hello, my name is Alan Martin. I am an independent researcher specializing in the illicit trade of gold and diamonds, and I'm here with you today with View on Africa. I'm here talking today about this report I recently did for the Global Initiative and Enact. It's called Uncover the Dark World of the Zama Zamas. It's a fabulous report, if I may say so, delving into this issue of the phenomenon known as Zama Zamas, who are illegal miners in South Africa. It focuses only on the gold sector, not on other sectors like chrome and platinum and diamonds that are also affected by these illegal miners. It is a very fascinating story about how both used and disused mines, gold mines in South Africa, have been infiltrated by miners who come from all over the Southern African region and essentially hit pay dirt because they are operating inside essentially these disused mines, which are the gold veins of South Africa that at one time produced about half the world's gold. And they are doing this supported by criminal networks who are obviously getting more the majority of the wealth from this trade, but it's also a very contested, violent existence, full of exploitation, very precarious, similar to much of the ASM sector across Africa. But what differentiates the South African context from the rest of the continent is one, the lucrativeness of it, and also the violence levels. The violence levels are almost on par or worse than some full-on civil wars in places like Democratic Republic of Congo. If you take into account the inter-syndicate wars, or also interactions with private security companies and police. And on top of that, they also face a lot of very unstable mining practices, which result in mine closures, mine collapses, methane gas explosions, which leads to a very dire existence for a lot of these miners. Nobody's really got to the bottom of how many people die doing this, but we know that it is quite substantial. The report looks at some of the reasons why this phenomenon is existing in South Africa and traces it back to part of the both during the apartheid days and also the post-apartheid dispensation, where there was legislative changes that made that allowed changes in the enforcement and the monitoring of the sector, removing the police from having an oversight role and putting that into the hands of the South African Diamond and Precious Metals Regulator, which is not really made or either have the skill set or the inclination to really do deep dives into looking for problematic or red flags that they could perhaps be used to interrupt this trade. We also look at the way in which the new Mining Act that came out in 2002 really has very unrealistic expectations for artisanal mining. The change in the act was a good, had I think a lot of good intentions behind it. It was trying to address a lot of the exclusion that existed prior to 1994 in South Africa. But the changes that they brought in made artisanal miners, many of whom have no links to formal banking, no links to geological expertise or environmental expertise. They made the act required that they essentially compete on the same level as the industrial sector, and instead of bringing them into the sector, it actually pushed them underground and operated in the illegal sphere as opposed to the legal sphere. So the report looks at a few ways in which the phenomenon could be perhaps arrested or perhaps turned around. And that includes the idea of revisiting the Act to try and put the police back in this oversight role over the allocation of the permits, mostly at the level of scrap metal dealers, where a lot of the Zama Zama gold gets processed and refined into the legal system. The report found that in total there's about 14 million rand, or about $1 billion a year, that is lost from this gold production by Zama Zamas. And although it goes into many different parts of the legal international market, Dubai seems to be the place that the majority of it goes to get laundered into the legal system. I think that's about it, but I encourage you to get a hold of this copy if you like. It's available on the website of ISS for download, and also available at the Global Initiative. Thank you for watching.